This is the House of Hockey podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. Hockey is more than a game, it's a lifestyle. It's you, the diehard supportive fans, your favorite players who are on the team you cheer for and the organization who supports them.
The companies that make your gear, bags, and beer league sweaters. The hockey moms and hockey dads and everything else that makes this House of Hockey your home. Come on in. I'm Breezy.
And I'm Rae Rae.
And this is our house.
Welcome to the House of Hockey podcast. This is episode 19, and I'm your girl, Rae Rae.
And I'm Breezy.
And Breezy, we have a really awesome guest who shared some really incredible stories on this episode for everybody. It is the founder of the Nomad Hockey brand, which is like a clothing and hockey lifestyle brand. Yeah.
His name's Dustin, and I think we really learned a lot from him on this episode. Just about the whole hockey lifestyle and so much of just hockey that kind of takes place all over the world. So it was really cool to talk with him and hear his stories. I know we say we have a lot of incredible stories from all of our guests, but we really do. But his stories, I mean, there's a lot that he was able to squeeze in there, which I'm super, super grateful for.
Oh yeah. There's some stories about Sidney Crosby and Nathan MacKinnon, and there's also some stories that you might need to grab your tissues for, because he shared a really personal story about his family and how a handful of NHL players sort of reached out and helped them out. And it's incredible. It's just another testament to the quality of the NHL players and hockey players in general. It's just another wonderful example of how awesome they are and how they don't want the press or recognition, and they do a lot of these things just because they want to.
Exactly. And speaking of quality of players,
yeah,
I think that there's an elephant in the room that we should discuss.
What? Which elephant, Breezy?
There's a big elephant. Players are opting out and are being noted as unfit to play for the playoffs. So opting out's one thing, but being unfit to play is another thing. And your boy, Corey Crawford, happens to fall into the unfit to play category. I read that and I was like, oh, she's going to be triggered.
My fucking blood pressure went through the roof and I was fuming. Yeah. Like, okay, I'm not mad at Crawford. Let's just make this really clear. Like, I don't have anything against Corey Crawford. The problem lies in the GM, in Bowman, and in Rocky, the owners and the general managers of the Chicago Blackhawks, because at the trade deadline, both of our goalies, our starting goalies, Robin Leonard and Corey Crawford, their contracts are up at the end of this season. They got rid of Robin Leonard, who I have repeated multiple times should have been the guy they kept. They didn't. And they sent him to Vegas. We've got Subban, and he's going to win the Blackhawks a Stanley Cup in goal? I don't think so. So, you know, I'm really pissed. And that's fine. Crawford just had his wife had another baby. He's had a lot of health issues over the last 2 years. He's been out with injuries. I understand him, whatever the reason of this unfit, this general category he falls under, fine. but that just makes me so mad at the organization. And if he's going to retire Corey Crawford, I understand wanting to retire as a Blackhawk, and I think he should. But you know, they do those little magical one-day contracts where they could have fucking traded Crawford and called it a day, and then at the beginning of next season signed him for a day so he could fucking retire as a Blackhawk. I mean, there are so many other things that could have been done here that didn't happen. And I'm just really upset with the organization. We have this miracle opportunity to participate in the playoffs for the Stanley Cup. We've got these other stellar players on our team. And when you don't have a goalie, you're completely fucked. And I'm sorry, Subban, I have no faith in him. He's been a backup goalie basically his entire career, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he's only been in the big leagues only 2 years. I mean, he was the backup for Fleury, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I think he did he have a couple appearances in the playoffs?
I don't know. Maybe he has.
I think
I don't know.
But he is still somewhat of a rookie, and you got to think Jordan Binnington, he came into the Blues and, you know, he turned it around.
No.
He's a big shot now.
PK,
give it up for Subban.
No, not PK. Malcolm is no Jordan Binnington.
I know, but I was just, you know, trying to help you a little.
He
could be. He could be. Well,
guess what? We're going to fucking find out on August 1st when I have to watch the first Blackhawks game with him in goal, for Christ's sake. Unless they bring up somebody in the minor system, but like, I don't know how that all works. I just got deflated, and I thought, you know, we're gonna lose this. I'm going into the first round of the playoffs with the Blackhawks expecting us to lose, which I know you shouldn't have expectations at all, but I'm going to go into it with that mindset so that I can just say, I'd rather say I told you so, like we lost, or be pleasantly surprised if we win and go, all right, maybe this team has a chance. But, and let me say this one more time. I love my Blackhawks. And this is from the perspective of a very frustrated Blackhawks fan with the last 3 seasons and the horrible trade decisions made for the team. And that's all I have to say about that, Breezy.
I didn't know what else to say. I just had to clap.
I'm just, you know, and everyone's like probably thinking, bitch, you should just be happy we have hockey and your team is in the playoffs. Like, no, this is like long-term frustration. This is years of frustration. And then also, like, let's talk about the Bruins, because some big news just came out about Pasta he's also unfit to play. And it was also reported that Tuukka Rask left one of the practices early. So it seems like something's happening with the Bruins, 2 really important players there. What do you think about that?
That could be a bit dicey.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a good team, but I think that
Did Mate just sneeze?
My dog just sneezed, and it was really cute.
That was really cute.
Anyway, I think it could be a bit dicey. I mean, those are 2 solid foundation players in the team, and although a team is a team, it's not, you know, a singular person or specific people. I do think that their energy in the locker room and on the ice is needed, especially in playoffs. And I think it's really important time to have the entire team together and contribution from the entire team. And if you're missing 2 of your top guys, I think it's going to be tough. But I think a lot of people are going to be really excited to hear that news, because not a lot of people like Boston.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of fans in Philadelphia who are like, woo.
Not only that, I mean,
Pittsburgh, and
you
New
have
York,
Toronto. I mean, you have pretty much everybody, I would say, is
You're
probably pretty excited to hear that. But I don't think anybody wants to see anybody sick or hurt or anything like that. I just think it's just.
Agree.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I'm not mad at Corey Crawford.
Yeah.
I get it. And, there's been like 7 other players, none of the names that no other really big names that I have seen that have actually opted out of play. And the reasons that I read for most of them was because like they have either newborn kids or someone in their family, like wife or child has, high risk of health issues, and they have decided, for the safety of their family not to participate. And I fully support all of those decisions. And, I support all of the decisions all around. I'm just mad at my organization for, leaving us without a goalie.
Yeah. Well, speaking of having a newborn kid, oh my gosh.
Did you have a kid? It sounded like you were about to say like, there's a baby in my family or something.
Oh dear God, no.
I know, me neither.
Bo Horvat from the Canucks just had a baby. And there's a headline that came out and he said opting out was never really an option for him. He's just hoping to put baby Gunner in the cup at the end of it. And I thought that was so cool. I got so fired up and I was like, let's go. Canucks. Let's go. I'm in. Bo, you get Gunner in that cup.
I think that's awesome. So many people have such a different perspective on it. I'm trying to look it up while I talk to you, but there was another baby born. Matt Martin had a baby. Mm-hmm. He plays for the Islanders, and I don't know what his plan is. I haven't done enough research to see if he's going to play or not, but there was quite a few babies born during this break. But in retrospect, if you were to like really think about it, those babies would have probably been born during like the playoffs or the end of the season, and like, planning wise. Sure, makes sense. Should have been.
I mean, you got to figure it would be. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, but planned. I think well planned. I think it's, and I'm sure some of them weren't strategically planned, but I think that's exciting. I mean, sometimes. You can't schedule that baby. You can't always schedule it.
You can't. That's for sure.
You can't. But I'm happy for all the dads in the NHL. But I mean, this is, we're getting like ready. The teams are practicing, and I've got the games already blocked out on my schedule. I'm ready to watch.
See, I'm a bit triggered because I'm actually going to be out of town.
For the first part of it, right?
For the first couple games. And I'm like, of course, this is just my luck. I'm not going to have any power. I don't have satellite. What am I supposed to do? And I'm getting mad. And I'm trying to think of if there's a way for me to somehow get like a solar panel for me to be able to like charge my phone while I'm able to like play a game. So I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot going on.
I know. There's a lot happening. Do you have any life updates, Breeze?
No, not really.
Still learning your photography and cooking?
I've taken a little break on the photography, but I am taking photos of my food and posting that on my Instagram and TikTok. I got quite a few followers on TikTok from that, so that was good. Our TikTok is getting a little bit more exposure, which is awesome.
I don't really have anything much to report. I learning to play hockey is on pause. And we talk a little bit about that on the episode with our guest. He was curious to see where I was at with that. But, the goal still is long-term to, get my butt on ice and take some lessons and learn to play. But it's just on pause.
Did you get a hockey sauce kit?
No.
Oh, you should. I have one. I've been playing on the front yard just because I need to get out, but I haven't been wearing gloves. And I know you always said to wear gloves and you use a hockey stick. Well, I get it. I really do get it because my hand is bruised from playing, so that's fun. So I do have gloves getting delivered today because I can't do it anymore. But
very exciting.
You should get a sauce kit. They're fun.
I will. Well, I have to buy a new stick and everything because I didn't bring my stick with me here to where I'm at. So I'd have to like get the whole shebang, and then how do I bring that back? And I don't know. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet in my brain, but
well, soon. But it is fun. I got it so I can go camping with it. We're gonna play it on the beach. I'm gonna bring it up to Montana with me. It's gonna be epic.
Yeah,
it's fun. Plus, to get the family together. I played with my dad last night, and we were doing we're trying to see who would win the Stanley Cup, and we ended up going into a shootout, 1-on-1. I lost.
Oh,
beginner's luck. It was all beginner's luck. That's all I gotta say.
I believe it. You let him win.
Yeah, that's right. I let him win.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let's go with that.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
That's all I got too. I know. We're just like anxiously anticipating the return, and there's nothing more to say. Our podcast is proud to be on the Hockey Podcast Network, and the network is home to many other incredible podcasts, including this one.
Like, you're a slob.
Like, shut your whore mouth. That's it.
Yeah, like the phrase pigeon toss, like I find that hilarious. Like, as if you were to toss a pigeon.
What
like,
the fuck is a pigeon toss?
No, like you just pigeon toss a guy out of the way, like.
Let's go, he scores!
Don't forget to catch
Stick in Rink, the healthiest podcast in the Vancouver area.
Every Monday on the Stick in Rink podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts from, or on the Hockey Podcast Network. Every team, everywhere.
You know how fucked I am in the head? When you said pigeon toss, the first thing I thought of was midget toss.
We're back.
All the way from Halifax, Nova Scotia, we have Dustin Hall, who is the founder of the lifestyle brand Nomad Hockey, whose brand message is quite similar to ours. Hockey just isn't about the players. It is about the fans that follow the game, buy tickets, fill the seats, and follow the game both physically, mentally, and emotionally. Dustin, thank you so much for coming on. We're super excited to have you.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm happy to be here.
For sure. So you're originally from Nova Scotia, obviously, right?
I'm not, actually. I'm from Southern Ontario. So I'm from Burlington, Ontario. My wife and I came out to Nova Scotia on vacation in 2009. I'm going to start dating myself pretty quick here. And we just really loved it out here. It was just so much quieter, such a slower pace of life. And we said, hey, why? We don't have any kids, nothing tying us down, really. We have family back home. But I said, why not move out to Nova Scotia? So we moved out here after we got married by a year. So we've been out here since 2012. So it's not my original home, but it's home.
Yeah, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's home to a couple of famous NHLers too, right?
Yeah, I might have heard a couple of them.
Maybe, right? Like
yeah.
Sydney something.
Right, yeah. He might play for my favorite team, so that's a pretty obvious one.
In case anybody missed that joke, it was Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. So there you go. He's your favorite player and your favorite team. Why are the Penguins your favorite team?
So I grew up in the 80s. Mario Lemieux. I actually have no idea why I'm a Penguins fan, but back in the day, it was, hockey Night in Canada once a week, and good chance that I just liked the colors of the team, or I saw Mario Lemieux playing, and the guy's amazing. And so he will always be my favorite player. Him and Yager, 66, 68. I wear 67 because it's between the two of them. Also because Penguins 1967, Canada was formed in 1867. But these days Crosby's my favorite player. Yeah, it kind of ebbs and flows, but come on, he's so exciting to watch, and such a good guy. How can you not like Sidney Crosby? Okay, Flyers fans, Capitals fans, I got you. Don't worry, I understand.
There's a lot of people yelling at their phones right now listening to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm really surprised that I didn't know that was allowed if you're a Canadian to cheer for a team in the U.S.
Oh God, yeah. So you'll like this. My dad is a Blackhawks fan.
Yes.
Yeah, always has been. He's Chicago everything. Blackhawks. He's a Cubs fan. He's a Bears fan. We're not a basketball family, so that sport doesn't count. But I've got two older brothers. One grew up a Kings fan. He switched to the Canucks because he hated Jeremy Roenick. And Sean Avery. Another one, he's a Habs fan.
Wait. He hates JR and Sean Avery. Those are two of my favorite people.
Yeah, it's an attitude thing. I don't know.
Your brother and I are going to have a conversation.
Yeah, you guys can I'll give you his number. You guys can have a fight out one night. And I have a little brother who's a Ducks fan. So we're all different teams. I have no idea why, but we all like different teams. And I somehow picked up on Pittsburgh. So I'm Pittsburgh everything. I'm a Penguins fan, Pirates fan, Steelers fan. But I probably shouldn't mention the Pirates because they're terrible. But, the Penguins have had some really rough years. And so growing up near Toronto, I know, Breezy, you like the Leafs as one of your teams. I hated the Leafs, hated them.
Which is surprising living in Burlington. You're so close to Toronto.
Well, so here's my thought I used to say I cheer for two teams, Pittsburgh and whoever's playing the Leafs. And growing up with so many Leafs fans, it's like anything. The more of a population you have, the more assholes from that population you're bound to meet. So, the Penguins had some really rough years after they won their cup in 92. It kind of went downhill for quite a while. And I used to get so much shit all the time from the Leafs fans. So basically it was, I started hating the Leafs, not because of the team, because I got nothing against the team specifically, but the fans that I knew. I had some great friends that were Leafs fans, but I couldn't ever get behind the Leafs while I was living near Toronto because I had so many Leafs fans to deal with. Now that I'm not in Toronto, I don't mind the Leafs so much. I got other problems in Washington and Philadelphia to deal with. I don't really care about the Leafs anymore. But it's I think you kind of in Toronto, because it is such a big hockey city, hockey market, that you either love the Leafs or you hate the Leafs. I don't think there's an in between unless you don't watch hockey. And if you don't watch hockey, it's pretty rare.
Yeah. That's crazy. I definitely would have thought you would. Well, maybe not a Leafs fan, because I know there's a lot of people in the Toronto area that somehow are also Canadians fans.
Yeah.
And
that's
occasionally you'll get
a
you'll get a Senators fan in there, but very interesting.
Yeah, I also lived in Niagara Falls for a while, and when I was pretty young. So I also liked the Sabres growing up a bit. Like Pittsburgh's always my number one team. My number two team kind of fluctuates, whoever I like watching. And so, we used to go to Sabres games back when it was the auditorium. And so that was fun. You get to watch these teams more often. You get to know the players and you start liking the teams.
Then I guess we don't really need to ask you this question. Breezy had this question for you. Are you team Sidney Crosby or Nathan MacKinnon?
Yeah, that's a given at that point. But I'm a huge MacKinnon fan as well. Like, that guy's exciting to watch. He's so fast. Like, he's so shifty. Like, he's amazing. Like, he's only getting better. Like, he's still working towards his apex. Like, every year it's another notch up. And I think I don't want to give too much credit, but I think a lot of that goes to him training with Crosby and that influence from Sidney Crosby. Like, seeing his work ethic. Like, no one, people can say bad thing, whatever they want about Sidney Crosby, but no one can criticize his work ethic. That guy, he's, first guy on the ice, last guy off the ice. Like, he's working hard. He's amazing in the community. And like, MacKinnon is as well. Like, you obviously hear more about Crosby because he's a bigger name. Like, he is, the international face of hockey, right? So you hear about pretty much, I don't want to say everything Crosby does, but you hear a lot more about what he does than what MacKinnon does.
Do you ever see those guys? Do you ever see any of these guys out, like when you're out in Nova Scotia? I'm imagining it's small, right? Like, it's not that big, right? It's like an island. Kind of.
Sort of, yeah. Yeah. We'll just call it an island. Close enough.
Okay.
It's connected, but
it's like small though. Like, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Like, our population for the whole province is less than 1 million, and the Halifax area is it's like 450,000 or something like that. But like, I literally live like 4 or 5 kilometers from where Crosby grew up. Like, when I drive my daughter to preschool, we go right past Crosby's house. Like, whereas I think his parents still live. Like, I see his dad around from time to time and his mom, but I've only ever seen Sidney and Nathan around one time, and they were together. And so I was driving home. I don't even know where I was going, where I'm coming from, but so just behind my house, like you know, as the crow flies, it was, you know, a few hundred meters. I'm driving down this street and I'm like, man, that guy looks like Crosby. And as I'm getting closer, I'm like, that is Crosby. And so I'm wearing a Penguins hat, and my first instinct is like, man, I should pull over and get him to sign my hat. And I'm like, no, you know what? It's whatever. It was like July, I don't know. And I'm like, this would have been like 5 years ago. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to bother him. He's probably out visiting his friend, and like these guys are just trying to enjoy their summer. Like I'm not going to be that guy who goes and, you know, disrupts his summer. So like I kind of drive by, like I'm driving fairly slowly because he's literally like on the road getting into his car. So we're like 3 feet apart, and I kind of just give a little nod and carry on my way. And later that night, I'm on Facebook and I see this little video clip. So it turns out, so there was a little boy in our neighborhood who was battling leukemia, and there was this little fundraiser that was going on, and they built him a playground in his backyard because he couldn't really go out, and so to have a nice comfortable spot for him in his backyard. And I guess Crosby had somehow gotten wind of this like GoFundMe or whatever it was that they had published, and he and McKinnon went out and they went and like had water gun fights with the kid, and like they just basically went and played with the kid for a couple hours. And I had heard from other people that he specifically asked some like reporters that showed up to like stay on the other side of the street. So stay on, like, don't come close. Like, this isn't, like, I don't want this to be about me. This is about the kid and that kind of thing. And like, he wanted nothing to do with the media on that. Like, he was just doing a good thing to do a good thing. And so after the fact, I was like, I'm so glad I didn't stop and bother him, because he was out there doing something good for this kid in the neighborhood. And like, I don't know, I would have felt like a real dick to have been bothering him like that. Because, like, you know, they get it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
So that's as close to meeting Sidney Crosby as I've become. So maybe one day.
I mean, that's still a pretty good story, and typical Sid doing Sid things and just being a great guy. So that's a good story to have. I
just got to find somebody that knows him to get him in some Nomad gear, because that'd be fantastic. Or McKinnon. I thought I had the McKinnon hookup from a guy I play hockey with, but I didn't want to. I'm not very good at asking for stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the guy offered. He's like, "Oh, like I play hockey with Nathan's dad. I won't want to say his name, but he's like, I can talk to him." And you know, at the time, it was McKinnon had just been injured or something like that, and I was like, "Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Like, don't bother. Don't bother with this. Like, he doesn't need that right now." Like, but yeah, it is a small community, and like, I know people that are friends with Sidney, but I would never use that to to my own advantage. Like, maybe if we run into each other one time, like, I'll ask him myself, but I'm never asking like a friend to ask him. Like, just can't do that.
Would you get like starstruck and be like, I'm gonna ask, never mind, I'm not gonna ask you?
I don't know. Like, I think I've been pretty good in the past with my like NHL player encounters, that I don't think I've ever felt too starstruck. I think we all tend to have, make these people be these massive, larger than life individuals, and then you meet these people and they're just like you and me, except they're really good at hockey. Like, that's the only difference. Like, and most of them are good people in the hockey community, with some exceptions. But yeah, so once you meet a player or two, you feel a little more comfortable. Like Rae, I'm sure like you felt the same way with what you've done. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, I punched the commissioner in the arm, for Christ's sake. Like, I felt real comfortable. Like, I felt like
there's a lot of people that like to do that. I think a lot of people like to do that.
I mean, it just happened. I don't know what came over me, but I just felt so comfortable because they're just real. And, when you're real yourself doing interviews and interacting with them, they're just regular people, Exactly, it was, I mean, I did freak out a little bit when I saw Kane. I had a little bit of that like fan moment. Like, it came out when I saw him, like, you have to call after these people on the red carpets and stuff. Yeah. When I was at the NHL Awards last year. And I was like, Kater! And then I was like, oh my God, be cool. Like, but it was like, you still have to like kind of holler at them to like come over.
Did you notice the crowd of people turn and look at you when you did that?
You know what? I didn't notice anything. I was like in my own world. Yeah, I didn't care. I mean, like when I gave Gare a good shove in the arm, I like didn't even know what happened until like one of the other camera guys who's been doing this for like 15 years was like, "You just punched the commissioner in the shoulder." I'm like, "Yeah."
Like,
6 inches higher, right? 6 inches higher.
I'm like, is that okay? Am I gonna get kicked off the red carpet? I'm like, I don't know what came over me. It just happened. And like the commissioner laughed. It wasn't a big deal, but like, you know, he's like, I've never
ow.
Yeah.
He's
That's
like,
a good punch.
never in my 15 years, he goes, have I ever seen a reporter do that to the commissioner? Like, well, that's just who I am. I don't give a fuck. I treat everybody like they're regular people. Like, I didn't treat him any differently just because he's the commissioner.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he really appreciated it. That's what I tell myself every day so I can sleep at night.
He probably did. Probably thinks about it nightly.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So tell us, like, do you have any other really good stories of meeting players? You had alluded to the fact that you encountered a few. Do you have any interesting ones that you want to share, or are there any that, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So one of my favorites, so as I said before, I'm a Lemieux fan, huge Lemieux fan. And I'm trying to remember what year it was. I think it was like 2001 or something like that. So when Mario Lemieux retired the first time, I was a teenager and like I was so upset that he retired. And I saved up like money to buy tickets to go to Buffalo to see the last time he was going to play, like in a city close by. When I got there, he didn't play. Yager didn't play. Ron Francis didn't play. Those are my three favorite players. And so I was like so disappointed. I thought, like I'm never going to get to see Mario Lemieux play. Like he's retired, like it's over. And then so he comes back from retirement. And of course I'm like, we're going down to Pittsburgh and we're going to watch him. And I wore my Team Canada jersey to the game. So in this game, Jaromir Jagr had a hat trick. It was hat night. And I was like 8 rows from the glass. I was there with my dad. I remember just like, I kept my hat. I made sure my dad kept his hat. But we must have thrown 15 hats on the ice because people throwing them from high up couldn't reach the ice. And we're just picking them up and throwing all these hats over. And it's like one after the other. And like, it was awesome. And after the game, Lemieux comes out of, I think Crosby comes out of the same spot, or did, because it's no longer the Civic Arena. Came out of the same spot from underneath Civic Arena, and he would drive up. And so we found out where he was coming from, and I had bought this sign that said Pittsburgh Penguins Ave. And so we waited, and Lemieux comes up, and he rolls down his window, and I have him sign my sign. And then I called my dad over, who's like pretty embarrassed to be like coming over to get an autograph because he's like 50 something. And well, he's like waiting for my dad to get over. He says to me, "Nice jersey." And so I'm like, "Well, you better be playing for us next year." He's like, we're not sure yet, right? And so yeah, it was just a small little interaction, but like for me, like that was such a cool interaction to be able to like have that moment with Mario Lemieux. Like, and then of course he did win gold with Canada at the Salt Lake City Olympics in 2002, and so that's pretty good one. But now I'm remembering another good one I had. I used to work for a company that had a team in a charity tournament, or one of these tournaments where like the pros come out and play a game. And they're like, "Do you want to come out?" And I had literally just quit that job a week before. Like I only had a few days left with that company. And I was like, "Are you sure? Like, you want me to come out? Like, cause I'm not going to be with the company anymore." And they're like, "We know you're a huge hockey fan. Like we need some guys." And I'm no great hockey player. Like I'm a decent beer leaguer. Like I was a good house leaguer. That's about it. And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm coming out." Like I canceled plans to come out. And so I show up and we have Paul Coffey on the team. And so being a Penguins fan, Paul Coffey was like a huge part of the Penguins. I know a lot of people probably think of him as an Oiler, but yeah, so I played with Paul Coffey, and he's coming up. I'm on the ice with him at the time, and he's still amazing. Like his hands it looks like he's still in the NHL. So he's curling back through our own end with the puck, and I'm a right winger. So I'm cutting hard up the right side, and as he's curving up down the middle of the ice, I cut hard towards the center, and he fires me this like probably one of the hardest passes I've ever taken on my backhand, and I pick it up and I go in, and just before getting the shot off, I get taken down, and we get to the bench, and he leans over and he's like, "Hey buddy." Yeah, he's like, "Man, that was like shades of Gretzky out there, the way you cut in like that." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." He's like, "I'll accept the finish." And I was like, "Oh man, I got tripped up." He's like, "Gretzky would have found a way." And I was like, "Damn it." And so I was like, Paul Coffey will never remember that, but like I will remember that the rest of my life. And I think it kind of speaks volumes of these guys coming out and doing these things and having these, like, even these little interactions mean so much to the fans and, the guys they're playing with or whoever. Like, it's a difference maker. Like, people love hockey players because they're not afraid to do those things. They go out and they're active in the community and things like this. And, we as fans love it that they're accessible. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that kind of makes it, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, those are probably my two favorite. Probably I'll give you one other one while we're at it.
Let's go for it.
So I went to the Spangler Cup. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, it's awesome. So it's the oldest hockey tournament in the world, and it takes place in Davos, Switzerland, every year over Christmas. So from December 26th to the 31st every year. They're getting close to 100 years that it's been going on now, and there's usually a Team Canada. There's been a Team Canada in this tournament for the last, it's probably 30 years. I don't know the actual number. But so I went over by myself to watch the Spangler Cup. I love international hockey. Like, it's amazing. And so the players, up to a certain point, the Spangler Cup was held outdoors. And then I think it was only in the 70s or something like that, they brought it indoors. And it's this really cool rink. They don't have it this way anymore, but they have these big glass panels on the side of the rink that are open up, and you can get sun on the ice during games at times, and it's just beautiful. And so they do an outdoor, Team Canada does an outdoor skate every year with their family and stuff like that. So I was just walking around town, and I look over at the outdoor rink that they have there, and I see red and white, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's Team Canada. Well, I get there, and it wasn't Team Canada. It was somebody else, but Team Canada was coming out. And I was like, oh, sweet. And so I'm watching, I'm taking pictures. I'm a photographer, so I was, getting some pictures of the guys playing outside with the mountains in the background. And I'm talking to this woman, and she's yells out to the ice, Jason, come here. And so this guy, Jason Strudwick, who I think of him as an Edmonton Oiler. So most guys playing in the Spangler Cup are either trying to get back to the NHL or they're past their NHL careers and they're playing in Europe or whatever. And so she just introduces me to him, and it was a nothing interaction. But afterwards, after their practice, they do their family skate where it's just the family comes on the ice. And so this was kind of before the Spangler Cup got pretty big in Canada. It's pretty well known now. It doesn't rival the World Juniors by any stretch, but so he's like, hey, you want to come out on the ice? So I got to go out on the ice with the Team Canada and their families for their family skate.
Wow.
Because he was like, you're the only Canadian that's here that's not part of our entourage of I don't know how many people, probably 60, 70 people that were there. So that's pretty cool. And it's just another that's just a nice little thing that the guy didn't have to do, but he did. And it made the world, meant the world to me. So
did you have skates?
I didn't have skates with me at the time. I did bring skates with me on the trip. They're about the only thing that made it. Everything else went with the rest of the plane to India.
Oh, God.
Unfortunately.
So what did you do when you went on the ice?
Time. I just walked out on the ice and
just watched. And
guy gave me a stick and just kind of passed the puck around with some guys and stuff like that. And it was pretty cool. I do wish I had my skates at the time, but
that's cool.
You got to check it out because I know you guys have talked a bit about the atmosphere in different arenas. Mm-hmm. It these games in Europe, they put the NHL to shame. The NHL fans are boring. Compared to some of these I'm not going to say everybody, some of these European places, just, it's a soccer atmosphere. We're up there, jumping, Davos is the main team and it's Hockey Club Davos. So it's HCD and I'm not going to try to repeat it because I can't remember exactly, but I still can kind of hear the chants in my head. These guys are jumping up and down the whole game. It's not even seating on the end. It's just standing room. And it's just an incredible experience to be there and feel that crowd and that atmosphere. And it's incredible. I think anyone needs to go check out events like that. So worth it.
Yeah, I've heard that the games there are very intense, and the chants, and they there's pyro, and they come out of tunnels. God, and really, you said it perfectly that the NHL looks like we're the lamest
we're all just
fucking sport.
We're all just sitting there watching. They're just I don't know. I was I'm
it's
not
just
a huge
a different
soccer fan,
experience.
but I primarily watch like the World Cup for soccer and stuff like that. But so I used to have season tickets for the Toronto FC when they first started. So we had season tickets for like 5 years before we moved out to Nova Scotia. And the atmosphere there was like, we're just up cheering, chanting the whole game. Like the only reason you have seats is for halftime. Like you're just not in those seats. And it's just so exciting. And you go to a hockey game and like, there's nothing that beats the play of a hockey game live. Like you can't compare that to anything. Like it's just how fast it is. But the fan experience, I would love to see more of that. Like, so that's why, you know, when you see things like the Carolina Hurricanes doing their
Storm Surge.
Thank you. I could just listen to your podcast where you mentioned it the other day. I love that. Like it's exciting. It gets fans off their seats. It gets them, you know, paying attention. It gets them excited and invested in the team and, you know, wanting to see what happens. And I love that stuff. Like I think we would love to see more of that stuff. And I'm hoping that when Seattle comes around, that maybe these new franchises can institute some of these things so that it's just part of their hockey culture. Like you go to Toronto and it's like, anybody watches a game, you look at all those platinum seats at the bottom and you come back from an intermission and those people are up in those lounges. Like they're not even there. Like, and they're the expensive, I don't want to say good seats, because I think I agree with you, Rae, that I would rather sit up higher and then sit right at the glass because you can't see shit.
Yeah.
But you know, those seats that like the optics to that, you look at and you're watching on TV, it's like there's nobody there. It looks like you're watching a Panthers game, sort of Panthers game. Come on. But yeah, like I'd love to see more of that.
Yeah, I think
true.
Go ahead, Breeze.
No, I was just gonna say that is true. It's pretty funny. When I went to a Leafs game back in January, and it was a full house, but Jack Hughes was his first game back home. They were playing the Devils, and so it was a big night. So there's a lot of people that were there. The seats were full, and then after the first intermission, there was like nobody in the lower level, and I'm like, what is going on here? It was crazy.
They're getting the free booze.
Yeah.
Rather than
like
paying
being needed.
$15. I know.
Like if you're sitting down there in those 100 levels, like you need the free booze, like what the hell?
Those tickets are so expensive.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your brand. Can you describe it? Tell us, give us the inside scoop for those that may not know what it is.
Yeah, so basically, Nomad Hockey is kind of for fans from the backyard rink to the pros. It's about people who love to. So our tagline, I don't know if you can see it. Well, I know people listening can't see it on my shirt, but our tagline is "Follow the game," and so it's a double entendre. It's got two meanings. We got follow the game the way that most of us follow the game as fans. Like you follow your team, like I follow the Penguins. Like, but it also means like if you get a chance to let hockey take you somewhere, you'll follow that. Like, there's so many opportunities out there. There's so many leagues. There's so much incredible hockey around the world, and it's, you know, people think of it as like just, you know, a Canadian thing or a Nordic country thing, like that. Those countries are the only ones that can lay claim to hockey, but it's, you know, it's everywhere. Like I've been as far as New Zealand to play hockey, and Australia, and you know, I've watched hockey in Switzerland and Austria, and like it's some of my favorite experiences have been outside of Canada. And you know, you find these opportunities, you can take them. Like look at, you know, certain players decide, you know, I'm going to go try to play in Europe, and they let hockey take them to Europe, and they absolutely love it. They meet people, they, you know, put down roots, they make families, they, you know, move countries because they love these experiences and these things that maybe they wouldn't have had otherwise if it weren't for hockey. And that's kind of what we're about. We're about the idea that hockey it's for everyone to go anywhere. And yeah, you just never know what opportunity is waiting around the corner for you.
Tell us a little bit more about how, so like, did this sort of like love of the game and the sport, you've mentioned you play and you've followed it, you know, is that what started the brand, or
yeah, so I think
what
to be honest,
inspired it?
So I think, to be honest, I mentioned briefly like that I played in New Zealand. So that was part of a traveling team called the Canadian Moose. So I was in university, and I was looking at doing, yeah,
I'm sorry.
I know, eh?
Of course, that's what it was called.
But I was in the university, and I was doing a degree in psychology with the plan of going to teachers college. And I had a friend, she was like, have you ever looked at doing teachers college like outside of Canada? Because it's, you know, can be easier to get in and you can have a cool experience. I was like, no, I hadn't even considered it. And she's like, yeah, like, why don't you look around? And so I did. And I was like, New Zealand would be pretty freaking cool, like to go to teachers college somewhere like that. And so I started looking into it, and I was like, man, like it's tough because you can't go check these schools out to know what they're really like. And another friend was like, my uncle runs a team that goes down to New Zealand every year. You know, why don't you see if you can get on his team? And while you're there, you get some downtime. You can go check out the school, which is in Dunedin, Southern Island, by the South Island of New Zealand. And I was like, yeah, like that's awesome, like great. So I, you know, contacted her uncle. I managed to get on the team, and by the time we actually went to New Zealand, I no longer wanted to go to teachers college, but hell, I was still down for an awesome experience. And so just going there and experiencing, like, we played against the New Zealand national team, and we beat them in like 5 straight games. Like, we're a bunch of beer leaguers. I was like a 4th liner in this team. Like, I, you know, not the best player, and that's fine. I'm well aware of that. And
but you're going to New Zealand, so you,
yeah,
I mean, it's good.
Yeah. I scored a few goals while I was down there. I had some assists. I actually threw a hit or two, and I'm not a big guy, so that felt pretty good. But yeah, that experience, I think, really solidified it. And right before I'd gone to New Zealand, my ex-girlfriend was in Europe on an exchange, and I spent 2 months living with her in Slovenia, which I had pretty much never heard of before I started dating this girl. It's right beside Italy, for the record. And while I was there, I brought my rollerblades because I knew I was going to New Zealand after, and I wanted to, you know, keep in shape. And I picked up a hockey stick while I was there, and I just was, while she was in school, I'd rollerblade around town, and I would, you know, go stick handle and shoot pucks at tennis courts and stuff like that. And these guys came up to me one day, they're like, hey, you want to play hockey? And so that was in 2005, and I am still friends with those guys, some of those guys today, that are Slovenian guys, just through hockey. And like, all this stuff kind of adds up, and you just learn that it's these chances, these opportunities, that, back to following the game again, like, you can be like a nomad. You can go where, you know, like a nomad technically is, or traditionally is, like someone that follows resources, right? Like hockey's my resource. So like, I'll follow hockey wherever I can. And yeah, that all kind of spawned from that. And yeah,
I know we're all like really biased because we're all hockey fans, but I feel like, for whatever reason, the friendships that come from hockey are they mean more, they're deeper, yeah. They're pure, they're more authentic. Like, you're still friends with these guys, like, that's crazy. But I don't know that that's the case in other sports, especially if you're just playing like pickup basketball or soccer. I mean, I don't know, because I don't pay attention to those other sports really, but like, well, I think there's something unique about the hockey community and the players and this sport that it creates these long-lasting connections and relationships. And I mean, there's documentaries being made about it that we've interviewed on this podcast, and this is a topic that I'm constantly, and Breezy we're both constantly asking this question, like, what is it that makes that the way in hockey?
It's the unknown factor. Like, I played baseball. Yeah. Like, I was a better baseball player than a hockey player. I played AAA ball until I was like a 15 or 16, something like that. But I gave it up because I just loved hockey more. But I don't have any friends still from baseball. Like, but yeah, like hockey, like you can, God, like I got people I know from all sorts of places from hockey. And yeah, I have no idea what it is. Maybe it's just the fact that it is such a team game that you have to be there sticking up for people. Like, I've stuck up for teammates that I don't like before, because it's your teammate, you know, like, you've got each other's back, and that builds relationships, that builds friendships. Maybe I didn't like the guy before, but maybe we're buddies now. Like, I don't know if that's part of it, that because you are so invested in everybody getting through this, you know, for that common goal, that, you know, you just make friendships that way, or what it is. But yeah, I don't know. Hockey's something else.
It really is. So have you had any current pro players wear Nomad Hockey?
Current pro? I don't think any current pros yet.
No?
Retired counts too.
Yeah,
Well,
retired.
yeah,
too.
Mikhail Grabowski. So he's actually a business partner in Nomad.
Okay.
And that came about in a very random way. He's working on a project that he wanted to call Nomad Hockey, and him and his business partner. And they found out that I've got Nomad Hockey, so they're like, instead of us just buying the name out from you, why don't we invest in you and we can work together. And so his project's a little on hold at the moment because he's been coaching in Belarus, but I've actually never met him yet. I've spoken to him on the phone, and that's about it. Well, Eric Goodbranson should be having something in his mailbox pretty soon. So there's a bit of a story to that.
Yeah, tell us.
So,
we like stories here.
So my daughter had cancer. So she's 6 years old now. She's when she's 3 years old, she's diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, and she spent 6.5 months pretty much entirely in hospital, other than a few days that she got to come home. And while we were there, we met some people, and that's a bit of another story. But so there's Eric Goodbranson's. I don't know how much I want to say this, but he's had a family member who's had cancer as well, childhood cancer, and somebody that we are mutual friends with contacted him and was like, hey, like, I know this guy, his daughter had leukemia, and could you like send him something? So he sent my daughter a sign stick and a Ducks hat. So he was on the Penguins when she originally contacted him, but then he got traded to the Ducks, so he sent a Ducks hat. So I ironically have a little Ducks fan at my house now, and but yeah, so he doesn't know it yet because I actually haven't put it in the mail yet. But I contacted his wife about what size shirt he wears, so he'll be getting like a hoodie in the mail within the next week or so. Like, I literally just wrote him his thank you letter yesterday. It's been on my to-do list for ages, but I was waiting to see what happened with COVID, whether they'd go back to Anaheim or whatever, and how the season was going to pan out. But when they officially canceled it, I was like, I got to get on this. Like, I can't be taking forever to do this. So I'm sending him like a hoodie, and he sent like a sign stick and a hat to my daughter. And like, it was just like a little thank you, like just to let her know how much like we appreciate that, and like how seeing the look on my daughter's face, like how special it made her feel to get that, even though like, she was 5 years old when she just turned 6, I said. She's not a huge hockey fan like I am yet. Like, I'm hoping she will be one day. But like, so she doesn't really understand just yet, like how big a deal that is. Like, but yeah, like it means a lot to me, probably more than just my daughter at the moment, but that'll change as she gets older and she learns more. But yeah, so hopefully I'll see him wearing one of these Nomad shirts pretty soon.
How's your daughter doing now?
Oh, she's great. She's
okay.
She's on May 9th, she was 2 years cancer free. And so with leukemia, 2 years is the moment where the doctors say to you, we don't expect it to come, or we don't worry about it coming back. You will, but we don't. So
Got it.
It doesn't mean there's zero chance it's going to come back. There certainly are chances it could come back. Yeah, English is tough.
It's okay.
But yeah, like, she's doing well. She actually has no idea how bad it could be.
That's good.
We've seen, a number of kids that didn't win this fight, and it's heartbreaking. And we know that how lucky we are. Like, she had a really rough treatment. She's actually going to be in like a journal, like a medical journal, because she had some stuff happen that has never happened to anyone else before, at least documented ever happened to anyone. Like, she hates, you ask her what her least favorite floor is at the IWK is the Children's Hospital. You ask her what her least favorite floor is, she'll tell you it's the 3rd floor. That's where the ICU is. But yeah, like, she's doing great. While we were there, I also got to give a shout out to Jill Saunier. So she is from Halifax. She plays for Team Canada. So she, unfortunately, got a silver medal at the Olympics. We're so proud of her still. But I only say unfortunately because you guys in the States got the gold. But so she came to the hospital on a little visit and with her silver medal, and So I was super pumped. I'm like, yes, we're going to go meet her. And then my daughter's name is Isla. And Isla was like, no, she didn't want to go. So I was like, you know what? I'm taking our youngest one, Autumn, who was like a year and a half old at the time. And so I took her, and she and I like met Jill and got to hold the medal and stuff like that. And so I went back, and then I was like, I do want to go. So I brought her over, and Jill was just like so inspired by her. She's this little bald girl, you know, like lifting the medal. And like I took a little video, and so Jill contacted me later and had me send her the video, and she posted on her Instagram and stuff like that. And so we've been in touch. She came to my daughter's birthday party the year after she was out of the hospital.
What?
We're still friends with her, and I played in a charity event that she hosted, which was the best hockey I've ever played in. Yeah, like it's little connections. You know, you meet these people locally who, like I said before, they're just regular people, and they're just out there trying to do, most of them, the best they can with like whatever we call people that are locally famous in Halifax, like Hallie famous. So she's definitely like Hallie famous. And yeah, we're just like Eric Goodprince, and like I'm a fan for life. I'm a fan of Jill's for life. Like yeah, and just yeah, it's just incredible to see the good things that these people are happy to do. And Jill will go on and on about how more she got out of it than we did. Like, and we also had some Halifax Mooseheads, the QMJHL team, come out and meet my daughter. And it was a day when she couldn't see. So one of the side effects at a time is that eye sensitivity to light. And so she was getting eye drops, like 4 drops at a time, every 2 hours, 24 hours a day. And like, I can't put one eye drop in my eye without crying. Like, and she's doing this, and like, she's just like a little fighter. And so we met these four guys who played for the Mooseheads, and she got a signed jersey from Otto Sampe, who's a Tampa Bay Lightning prospect. And I think it was him. Yeah, he was billeted with somebody who's friends of a friend. And she got in touch with me and said, like, you know, like Otto came back and was just like so inspired by Isla. Like, she's this like little trooper, and like, he had no idea that he would get back to us saying these things, and like how much it meant to them to be able to come and like just, you know, come for an hour and, you know, show your sport and help these kids out. This brings me back to Sidney Crosby, who, like I said, haven't met him, but we heard stories that he would come and visit the hospital often at Christmas. And so Christmas time's coming around. My daughter's in the hospital for Christmas, and I'm like, I have no idea what size shirt Crosby wears, so I'm like, I got like a large, medium, a large, an extra large, like in one of the drawers in my daughter's room. Like, if Crosby comes, I'm getting him in one of these Nomad hoodies. Like, he's getting one. And so unfortunately he didn't come, which is fine. Like, you don't get your hopes up. You just can't do that. But yeah, like just hearing the stories that he'd come and visit kids, and there's a teen lounge there, which is sponsored by Sidney Crosby or the Crosby Foundation or whatever in some way, shape, or form. I'm not sure all the details on that, but so my daughter would call it the Crosby room, because there's like, I forget what they're called, but there's like big wall pictures like just outside the door of like Sidney Crosby hoisting the Stanley Cup and stuff like that. So it's like the Crosby room kind of thing. And you know, these guys are out there doing amazing things, and a lot of it they don't want to make public, and they're just doing it to be good people. And most hockey players that I know are good people. Even like just the guys I play beer league with, most of them are good people. And you know, maybe that brings us back to why hockey's so incredible. Like, so many good people. Now there are assholes. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Well, we have our run-ins, but you know, and another thing is my hockey league. So when my daughter was sick, the commissioner of my league was like, "Hey, Dustin, like, you know, do you want your money back? Like, if you want to leave like the league, like, I'm not gonna like penalize you or anything like that. Like, I totally understand." I'm like, you know what? I'm like, no, like I need this. Like, I need that hour a week. So my wife was in the hospital full time with my daughter, and I had our youngest daughter full time at home. And I would have my wife's friend would come for 2 hours a week and watch my youngest while I would go play hockey. And just being able to focus on something else for an hour a week, just to be able to sit there and, you know, not have to think cancer, you know, meant a lot to me. And like, you know, my team did a fundraiser. Like, my wife is out of work. Like, I'm a professional photographer, and there's no way I could focus to do any work at the time. Like I couldn't be there. I shoot mostly weddings. I do some sports stuff, but I just couldn't put my head into it. So I wasn't working. So, the league, they put together a fundraiser for me, and like, that stuff like brings you to tears. Like, everyone, you got each other's back. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if it's a guy that, I got into a run-in the week before, punched him in the face, and he put $100 in like this pot to support like me and my family. Like, you're all there, that it could be any one of you. Like, and hockey's just an amazing thing. Like, such good people.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's what, kind of makes everyone connect with the sport so much, is just knowing that pretty much all the players are good people and they all do good things. And even though it's not super public, at some point or another, it does end up getting out to the public of what these guys are doing on their spare time and not making a big deal of, but it's a huge deal to a lot of people. So these stories are always good to hear. It's just to kind of bring it down and just so people know that these players are human.
Yeah.
We've heard so many of these stories from people that have shared their stories of meeting players in different capacities, and it means so much to the fans. And I think the players really do know that, and I think they really do their best to go out of their way to, whenever they can, really take the time and say hello and do what they can, because I think especially hockey players are just so grateful that they get to play this sport that they are obsessed with and that they love so much. So
yeah. I want to know, Rachel, how's your hockey training going?
Oh, that's how I feel every time I talk about it. It's so hard to learn something new as an adult. Oh my God. I hear you. It's on pause at the moment because I'm in Maine right now, and I didn't bring my stick because, well, I just don't know how to travel with it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm so new at this. And I thought, well, I could just buy another stick here. But I am considering getting some rollerblades so that I can work on the skating aspect of things while I'm here, because that's something I can do. But I'm just so afraid. I don't want to get hurt, and I don't want to fall down, and I don't want to break anything. And
and they're expensive. Inline skates these days are expensive. Like I don't have a pair. Like the last time I had inline skates was in 2005, and I gave them away while I was in Europe to a guy that had a greater need than I did. And I also didn't want to have to backpack around with them for 2 months. But I was looking at buying them. I walked into Pro Hockey Life store. I don't know if you have it in the States. I think it's just Canadian. And there's one pair. I also want to call them rollerblades, but there's one pair of inline skates for like $1,000. I'm like, my ice skates I paid like $250 for. Like, I'm not paying $1,000 for inline skates. I got some teeth knocked out, so. And I just started a job at the time, and I had no insurance, so it was a lot of money spent. I had three root canals, 3 crowns.
You're supposed to be encouraging me, Dustin, not discouraging
that's
me.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you wear a cage, you're fine, and wear a mouth guard. Yeah. I had been playing in a charity game in Toronto, and then my buddy and I were like, we can make our league game. It's only a half-hour drive, so we go half equipment. We drive out. We get there for like just before third period starts. We're getting dressed in the dressing room. I'm like, I can't find my mouth guard. I always wear my mouth guard. I'm like, I can't find it. And you're like, it's 1 period. I'm going to go out. I go out to the bench. I'm like, no, fuck it. I got to find my mouth guard. I go back to the dressing room. I look everywhere. I'm like, I can't find it. I must have left it the other ring. You know what? It's 1 period. Back to that again. I go out, and the guy's like, watch out. Number 26 is being a real dick out there. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, I bump into this guy in front of the net, and I think nothing of it. I'm like, oh, sorry. Like, I'm still on this high because we beat this team with ex-NHLers and stuff, and I had like 7 points. And so, oh, sorry, man. And he turns around, cross-checks me super hard, like right in the ribs. And he goes, fuck you. And so I can't let that go. So I, of course, go cross-check him back. And as I'm doing it, I'm saying, fuck you back. And I'm like, fuck you. And I'm like looking, and the ref's looking straight at me. So my eyes aren't looking at this guy. My eyes are looking right at the ref. And I'm like, shit, I'm getting a penalty. As I'm doing that, the guy goes, bam, and cross-checks me right in the face.
Oh.
And, killed the nerves in my teeth. And their goalie on the team helped me pick up my teeth. I put them on the bench, and I took the next face off. Anyway, after the game, get in the dressing room, and as I said, half equipment. So my jeans are in my bag, and I pull my jeans out. Mouth guard goes flying out in the middle of the room just goes dead silent. And it's like, fuck. They're like, and I was working night shift at the time. They're like, Dusty, I think you should call in sick to work tonight. I'm like, yeah, let's go to the bar. I don't drink, but yeah, and I'm like a rare hockey player who doesn't drink. But yeah, we went over to the bar, and some of the guys from the other team were there, and they had just ordered some, I think it was wings, and they just arrived at the table when we arrived, and they saw who it was, and they're like, oh, here, why don't you have these?
You're
and
like,
I'm like, and they didn't even mean it as a joke. They just didn't think. I'm like, why wouldn't you just offer me a beer? Like I don't drink, but like I would have made more sense. But
yeah.
Anyway, moral of the story is wear your fucking mouth guard.
Got it.
I keep a spare one in my bag. I have a rule. I will not play without a mouth guard now. So yeah, I always have a spare one in my bag. And
I love how we just breezed over the fact, just like any good hockey player does. You were like, I lost all my fucking teeth. I picked them up and put them, and I took the next face off. Only in hockey. And I love it. A reason number 1,500,000 why I love this fucking sport.
Well, I wasn't worried about losing more teeth at that point.
Right. But like, God, it just pisses me off when you watch these NBA players and like soccer players like flop around, and you're like, oh, tough enough, bitch. I lost all my teeth and I took the next face off. Fuck you. Like that's what really I would say.
If you're really hurt, you're not rolling around like that. If you're really hurt, you're laying there like pretty much still. Like if you're really hurt.
Does Nomad sell jerseys? Because like when I play, like when I get to that point in my path, I mean,
we do.
Am I going to be, should I be buying like Nomad hockey jerseys?
Right now we got black or white, I think. I'm not sure if we have any of the red ones left, but black and white's kind of the main colors of the Nomad. Yeah, we can sort something out. Yeah, we can get
I'll buy it, but I'm just like, what can I get from Nomad? Like, tell us a little bit more about like what you sell. Like, do you sell bags and like?
So right now we're predominantly like hoodies, t-shirts, hats, jerseys, as you mentioned. Literally just had some like bomber jackets come in the mail yesterday. So I'm pretty excited about those. Like I haven't even like looked at them yet. Like, cause I've got a big order of stuff coming in, just new printed different designs coming in. Like our Black Lives Matter shirt, we got a Pride shirt coming in. Eventually I'd love to get into pond hockey bag. I've been doing research on it forever. Who doesn't love a good pond hockey game? Like, especially, here in Canada, not as much here in Nova Scotia as when I lived back in Ontario, but you get some pretty good winters times. We got a pond just down the street. It was where my kids skated for the first time. Cool. It was one of these things I waited to have pond hockey to get them out in the ice outdoors first rather than do it indoors. It's just like this mental thing. I always wanted that for them. They may not give a shit. I don't know. But yeah.
What do you mean? You're not going to force them to care?
I won't force anything. If they don't want to play hockey, if they aren't interested, that's fine. They'll have their own interests.
Okay.
But I'm certainly going to subtly steer them in that direction and maybe overtly steer them in that direction.
We support you in that decision.
But yeah, like Nomad, we also have an outdoor hockey tournament. And so there's a trophy in behind me for those of you who can't see right now. And I'm going to grab it. I haven't done the engraving on it yet, but this is actually the women's Nomad Cup. So there's a place here in Nova Scotia called Bootler's Point. If you were to look at it, you'd probably think it was like Boutilliers, or thinking French, Boutilier's Point, but it's Bootler's Point. And they've got an outdoor rink. My buddy grew up in that area, and I recently found out about it a year and a half ago. And I was like, man, like, this is amazing. We've been out and played there, and it's like, this is so cool. They've got lights strung up over the ice, like string lights, and it's pretty good lighting. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, we got to find a way to like support these volunteers who are putting all these hours into making sure this ice is good. The boards are maintained, and all the people who have like donated time to just do anything at that property. And it's a fully community run thing. Everyone's a volunteer. And I was like, why don't we host an outdoor tournament there? So I brought it to the rink committee, and I was like, I would love to host an outdoor tournament here. Let's do this. We'll raise some money, and we can give you guys kind of whatever proceeds we get to help you guys out to see what you can do with it in the future. So this year, and it was so much fun. It was incredible. We had a women's division and we had an open division. Playing under the lights, like outdoors, under the lights. It was just so cool. Yeah, we set up couple car shelters as dressing rooms for people, and we had space heaters going in there, the ones that look like little fireplaces. You got to have the right ambience in the room at the time. It's got to feel like you're playing outdoors. In the long term, I would like this tournament to be nomadic, whereas we take it from location to location. Maybe we keep one where we are now at Butler's Point, and we do like an additional tournament. Like, I would love to be the first tournament that goes from place to place. Like, you got to build it up first to make it something people want to play for. But the thought of like going to play a game, in Alberta or Northwest Territories or Finland, like whatever, like New Zealand, like I'd love the Nomad Cup to grow to be something that we can have that shared experience in different locations, and maybe raise money for different causes and stuff like that. And we also have some shirts that say fighter on them. It's probably my favorite design that I've ever done. It's the H turns into like a cancer ribbon. And so the money that we get from those, we haven't done anything with it yet. But my wife and I have been looking at ways to give back to the hospital, and we'd like to find some way to help the kids on Sixth Link. Sixth Link is the oncology floor at the IWK here in Halifax. And that's where my daughter lived for half a year. And so we'd love to make some money from those shirts to turn it into something that we can do to help out other families who are going through cancer right now. We've done this in the past with, I designed some shirts, they say strong and free, kind of taking part of the Canadian national anthem, True North, Strong and Free. And it has a cancer ribbon in the middle, and we raised some money. And all we did with that money is we went to the families at the IWK right now, or right then, and we gave them Tim Hortons gift cards, because when we were in there, Tim Hortons is like your escape. It's like you go downstairs, Tim Hortons, you get a coffee or a donut or whatever. And most people, despite the fact that this is my bill from staying at the hospital for half a year, you still have expenses. Like, there's still stuff. Your personal life is on hold. Like I mentioned before, you're not making income. Like, it still costs you. And we're very lucky that we've done a bit of math, and it's not pretty what we would have had to pay, like if we were without insurance in the States. Like, we're so lucky where we are to have the medical system we do. But any little thing we can do to help those families out.
I love how you stay true to your brand name and bringing all forms of the nomadic lifestyle and hockey together. So tell everyone where they can buy your clothing, where they can follow you, and anything. Just promote yourself.
Yeah, so we're our website's nomadhockey.com. So if you can remember Nomad Hockey, you're pretty good here. Our Instagram is at Nomad Hockey. Twitter, Nomad Hockey.
Well, we always end off every interview with our firing 2 questions. So we'll.
I'm prepared.
All right, let's hear it. Who's your favorite hockey hunk?
Okay, so I'm going to turn this a bit on its head. Okay, so there's a lot of good-looking hockey players, but I'm going to turn this into who I would want to be friends with. Okay, Marc-Andre Fleury, without a question. Who's a bigger beauty in the whole league than Marc-Andre Fleury? Like, I was so sad to see him leave the Penguins, and I think so many Penguins were. Nothing to do with the guys that were left behind, because there's some great goalies in the Penguin system, but man, like, look at that smile on that guy's face all the time. Such a happy guy, such a positive person. And
but wait, would you be able to handle the alleged pranks that he pulls on everybody?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's hilarious. I love it.
And you're gonna go tit for tat with him on pranks?
Yeah, we probably both go too far. I've never been in a prank war before, I don't think. Not hockey related.
All right, so who's your favorite hockey lady?
So I got to go back to my buddy Jill Saunier. Mm-hmm. She's just been so good to us, and she's just such an amazing person. And she has said to me before, like, anything you need, like, just let me know. Like I still haven't taken her up on it, but she's said she'd wear some Nomad stuff and do some promo photos. But like I said before, I'm not good at asking people. Jill's just an amazing person, great hockey player. I love the way she plays. She's a little feisty. She's a smaller player compared to some of the other women, but like I do love the women's game, and I think it's exciting, and especially Canada versus USA, like, no doubt, like, that's one of the best rivalries in hockey is Canada USA women's hockey. And these girls are playing so hard, and we didn't touch base on it much or at all during this talk, but it's worth it. People need to get on board with women's hockey a little more.
Hell yeah.
Stop being so stubborn.
Thank
Good
you
fix.
so much, Dustin. We appreciate you coming on and taking the time to talk hockey with us. And we love what you're doing with your brand, and we totally support it and everything. So.
Well, thank you both. I'm excited to see what else comes out. I look forward every week to hearing your podcast. I listen to it while I'm putting the girls to sleep at night.
Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming over to our House of Hockey podcast and hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And in the meantime, you can follow us on social media. Just look for House of Hockey podcast. We'll be back next week.